Hello everyone, I'm CoolGuy, welcome back. We saw Warlocks get a quick and swift adjustment to their freeze melee shortly after Beyond Light dropped, and after the holidays, the team at Bungie got to Revenant Hunters, specifically Shatterdive and Fissures. So there's one Stasis class left, the Behemoth, and they said as a short-term goal, they're going to investigate the efficacy of this Stasis Titan Behemoth Super. They want to see how the nerf to Shatterdive and Fissures plays out, and they're then going to see where the Behemoth stands in the PvP hierarchy. If you played PvP, I'm sure that you've went up against a Behemoth Super, very long duration, very tanky, it's a good one. So in today's video, it's talking about that short-term goal. Let's discuss the health duration and what overall can take out a Behemoth Super in the Crucible, and a little hint, there are very few select things that can do so. I'm going to discuss what one-shots them, and discuss a couple of techniques to take them out. And this is going to be good information if you're playing Behemoth, because you need to know what can take you out, how resilience plays a part, and on the other end, as a player going against a Behemoth, you need to know what to do. The Behemoth Super lasts an astounding 25 seconds. That's a long time, and you're seeing it in the background. While just running around, it will outlast you. While in the Super, if you're using abilities, it does take some of that super energy away, but it still lasts a very long time, even though some of that super energy is spent. And a special thing to note real quick, you don't have a cooldown on the Cryochasm slide while in Super, and I don't think that a lot of players know that. You can zoom around fast without spending a lot of super energy if you do this. If you need to close a gap, you can and should spam the melee attack to go a large distance. Otherwise, you can just spam this long range knee slide over and over. It's somewhat like how Arcstrider can get around faster in Super doing its dodge effect. While in the Super, the Behemoth gets a massive 60% damage resistance. So something like Trustee that normally does 47 to the head, it's gonna do 19. And by the way, say hello to Fallout. We had an agreement. I test on him, he tests on me. This is how content creation works. These are the fine details. So with Trustee, what normally takes 5 shots to kill, it's gonna take 11. And using a regular weapon, you're gonna take into account the Behemoth movement. They're really tough to track and land really good shots on. Therefore, you might as well run, which a lot of players do. You just run as far and long as you can. With the movement and damage resistance, there's a very short list of things that can outright take it out confidently. Let's go through some weapons that come close, and there is something very important that I want you to keep in mind. These are regular damage numbers. With power leveled PvP like Trials of Osiris or Iron Banner, you're gonna have a power difference enabled. So while these damage numbers are gonna be okay and decent in regular play, if you're something like 1255 and the Behemoth's at 1260, you're doing less damage than what's getting ready to be shown. And I'll point that out in a moment, and that's why I have my list of things that can guarantee to do so. Not too long ago, 90 RPM snipers were nerfed to not be able to take out supers, and Bungie made that decision so high impacts can have a place. The high impact aggressive frames take supers out now, and with something like a 90 RPM like a Dord or Eye of Soul, you would need Vorpal weapon to take out supers, but here's how that interacts with the Behemoth Super. A high impact sniper rifle, Bite of the Fox, Succession, Trophy Hunter, these do 190 to the head of a Behemoth in Super. If they're running 5 resilience or higher, they're gonna survive. And a lot of Titans out there run higher than 5 resilience. I've hit this shot in PvP before, and it feels bad to not down them, because this is what they're supposed to do, no matter what. It's the reason why 90s were nerfed not to do it, so these could. So a high impact sniper, you could mark this down as yeah, it can do it, but it's not guaranteed. If they're higher light than you, an Iron Banner or Trials, you're not gonna take them out. On a 90 RPM with Vorpal, like a Dord, it does 186, so it's not gonna happen. You're gonna need to prime them as they come in or clean up after you land the 186, which by the way, I do wanna bring that up. These are heavy shots that we're talking about, so with these examples, you're gonna have to, like I said, prime them or follow up. But in scenarios where it's win or go home, you want that one shot to be guaranteed. We'll get to that list in a moment, and who knows, maybe you land that 186, 188. As they get shot, they melee move right behind cover, recover all of their health, and they still have about 15 or so seconds to chase you down. And all that damage that you put in was worthless because you didn't take them out. And also keep in mind, more often than not, they're gonna have people with them, all rushing with the Behemoth, so say you do get in a good shot that doesn't down them, you're still gonna have multiple targets shooting at you. When we start getting into close range attempts, there are weapons that can do it, but they have a very low success rate. Something like Devil's Ruin, sure, land a good amount of headshots with the beam, it will roast them. But keep in mind, the Behemoth's gonna be moving. If you do something like this, you're gonna have to prime them, and as they come in, you're gonna have to charge the beam, time it perfectly. You need absolute perfect timing to take them out. I went up against the Devil's Ruin recently, it's not gonna cut it. With something like Bastion, again, that can do it, but I wanna stress that this has a charge time as well. You need to time it perfectly. You need to hope that the glaciers from the heavy attack don't freeze you as they're coming in. With Bastion, there are 3 volleys that come out. A volley has 7 pellets in it, and while in Super, each pellet does 12 damage. So you need to land 17 of the 21 total pellets, pretty much all 3 volleys. Very hard to do. But if you prime them coming in, sure, it can possibly work, but the timing still has to be on point. With something like first in, last out, the select shotgun with Vorpal, you need 2 headshots. That's not gonna happen. It's gonna be in close quarters, they're gonna be zooming around, you're gonna have to be actively aiming for 2 headshots, not gonna happen. For some of the special things in the game, like Osiris' Embrace, the super heavy knife for the gunslinger, it does 170, that doesn't do it. If you do prime the Behemoth beforehand, then yes, but again, you need to be precise to get the perk going, then land a headshot knife. There's a lot of tracking going on, it's not gonna be consistent at all. Something that hits heavy like a liar's handshake, cross counter, doesn't do it. There are a lot of things that don't, and it's important to show why they don't and give the reasoning. Whether it be certain weapons and gear are used in close quarters, you need everything to go right. And for them to go right, you have to be on point, not get frozen, avoid being meleeed, all those things. Basically, there are very few things that can, and now we're gonna get into them. And after these weapons, I also have 2 very important techniques, and honestly, these techniques might be better options overall than the weapons and gear that you can choose. As far as weapons, borderline here, we have Arbalest. Here's the deal with Arbalest. It's gonna do 199 to the head, that's great. It's gonna down 9 resilience or less. If the player on Behemoth has 10 resilience, they're gonna survive. Keep in mind, if they're at 1260 and you're lower, 1255 or so, you're not gonna be doing that 199. So even if, let's say there's 6 resilience, your power level isn't gonna be enough to do it. It is a solid option, but it's not a guarantee. And here are the things that can't. I have them ranked, there are 4 of them. 4 of them only. And you can loosely put Arbalest at 5, well, we're gonna go ahead and do that. We'll put Arbalest at 5, but again, it isn't guaranteed. And I wanna stress these 4, because when push comes to shove, it's something like Trials of Osiris, you need to down them. You need to take them out and walk away. A Behemoth can and will take a round. So I want you to have this knowledge for those rounds. Say they get super first, or they have one ready, and you're switching to the next round. You can make a switch to try to make a play. At 5 Arbalest, at 4, it's unrealistic, but it can do it. It's the Titan's Peregrine Greaves. You gain bonus damage to shoulder charge abilities. This downs any resilience Behemoth Super. While everyone's running away, you're going straight in, and for whatever reason, in this Matador versus Bull scenario, the Greaves went out. They were winning, just user beware. I have to throw it in here because no matter what, it does down them. You also have to consider that you do need a charge melee to be able to shoulder charge, but this can do it. At number 3, Izanagi's Burden. All of these weapons can do it off spawn, meaning you spawn in with 2 bullets. You spawn in, you hold reload, it consumes the 2 bullets to make them 1. The Izanagi times 2 does one-shot them. However, you only get 1 shot, so don't miss your chance to final blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. No, but seriously, that's what you're working with, just 1 shot. You need to make it count, and if you don't have the following 2 options, this could be an option for you or Arbalest. At number 2, Box Breathing Eye of Soul. At 90 RPM, Vorpal on Eye of Soul or Adored, no matter what, can't down a Behemoth, but Box Breathing on Eye of Soul can. It's the only sniper right now with Box Breathing that can do it. Shortly after aiming down sights, you get the buff. This does 208, and even with a little bit of a power difference, it's still gonna one-shot. With this one, if you miss, you can recenter, try another shot, so you do get a couple chances. It does have a place, so maybe you're turning in tokens and you see a Box Breathing roll, you can stash it and use it for this sole purpose. At number 1, we have the Vorpal Aggressive Frame Sniper Rifle. There are only 2 of them that have Vorpal. One of them you can't get anymore, Trophy Hunter, and the other one is from the Deepstone Crypt raid, Succession. Both of these sniper rifles have Vorpal in the same spot as Snapshot or Quickdraw, meaning that you're gonna wanna have sniper rifle targeting to get a decent aim down sight speed, and when you do, it's just that, decent. It can pull up if you need it to. With Vorpal, they do 228 to the head, so no matter what, you're going to down them. You don't need to aim down sights with Box Breathing. You don't need to consume a shot for Izanagi's Burden. You don't have to worry if they're a high resilience and you're a little bit lower power with something like Arbalest. This will one-shot no matter what. And in my rounds versus Behemoths and Trials, I do switch to this Trophy Hunter with Vorpal, and I pair this with True Prophecy or Steady Hand. This gives our team a chance to pick them off and end it. And with this one, you can just point and shoot. There's no extracurricular things that you have to do. So if they don't touch the super for, let's say, 3 more months, or after this upcoming season, all of this is a strategy against them. And after pure 1v1 long-range weapons, and if you noticed, aside from the Greaves, all of these are from a distance. And this is to assure that they can't freeze you with their heavy attack, they can't melee you. It's a safe one-shot try at a distance. Next, maybe you don't have these or you don't like sniping. That brings us into the techniques. And the first one isn't necessarily a technique, it's more so of a team focus. Something like Stars and Shadow does 23 to the head per bullet with Vorpal weapon. That's the Crucible Pulse Rifle, meaning that a full burst is 69 damage, so your team, or just you yourself, can make it a point to switch to a Vorpal primary to try to take them out. Even in close quarters with weapons like Breachlight, the 7th Seraph sidearm. Maybe all of you see that the Behemoth is coming in the next round. Everyone put on Vorpal weapons and just focus them down. You will melt them. You can stand your ground instead of running. And also, Stars has a 0.67 TTK. You can do alright after you down the Behemoth. But the final one is for Stasis. It has to do with the Cold Snap Grenade, the Hedron's Fragment, and a Vorpal Shotgun. Fellwinters if you have it. If not, you want the CQC-12. That's the 7th Seraph shotgun. As the Behemoth is coming in, you throw the Cold Snap early, and you throw it at your feet. They come in fast, so you throw it at your feet, let it go out, and catch them as they're coming in. If you do it too late, you're going to be done. And with cold snaps being nerfed, you only freeze them for a split second, but that split second is enough. After you do this, you get Vorpal on top of Hedrons. This will one-shot them. The CQC-12 can do it, but I want to clear something up real quick. I made this video before the Shatterdive and Fissures nerf went live, because I fully expect Behemoths to be more frequent, and this is also something that they're looking at. So for these tests, I took off Fissures, but Shatter itself is still a thing. As you can see, when I get the kill, it says +1 Shatter, meaning that I broke a frozen enemy. So there is shatter damage, but it's not tied to fissures. This will still do it. The worst case scenario is that after the nerfs, for whatever reason, if it touches this part of shatter, this combination is still gonna work, but you just need to follow up with a melee. That's with Fellwinter or the CQC-12. And honestly, with the CQC-12, I would just follow up with a melee no matter what. Once the update is live and I test it and I can confirm, my pinned comment at the top of this video is gonna let you know if you do need to follow up with a melee or not. Damage numbers are weird, so look there or maybe come back and check to get that final answer. Doing this is really good. It's risky, sure, but it works very, very well. You time that cold snap early, you let it chase them. If you freeze them, you get that damage buff with Vorpal, it works. The Warlock, the Shadebinder, has a full kit for it. Cold snap melee, and even, check this out, the Rift. I've done it off the Rift, and I'm unsure what they're gonna change, or if they're gonna change the Behemoth Super, the duration, the damage resistance, but until then, this is how you take them out. If you're using Behemoth, watch to see if they're using cold snaps, if they have Vorpal weapons, see what your resilience is versus their power level. I hope some of you found this information useful, and if you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you're looking for a new controller, I am partnered with Scuff Gaming. You can use the link down below and my code COOL at checkout for a discount. Let's talk about the Behemoth Super down below. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.